New developments in the domestic violence case involving the area's top local judge. Less than 2 hours ago, State Attorney Harry Shorstein announced he will not file charges against either Chief Judge Donald Moran or his wife. And within the past hour, Judge Moran issued a statement about this issue. Also, the 911 tapes in this case have just been released. Tuesday, a police report quoted Elena Moran as telling investigators her husband had hit her inside their home. Then yesterday, a new police report quoted her as saying she injured herself when she fell and had lied when she claimed she had been hit. Channel 4's Jim Pickett is joining us now live to tell us how the state attorney explains his decision and what the judge is saying now. Jim?
Well, State Attorney Harry Shorstein says he will not prosecute, and he says he's basing a lot of that decision on his investigation, but more importantly on those 911 tapes, those tapes which we just received. Now, we're going to play you a portion of them. Listen closely, and you can hear how this was called in.
Yes, need help. What's wrong now? My husband beat me up. What's your address? The health department is trailing. It's a house. Do you need rescue? No, I don't need rescue. I just think somebody come out and see me. What's your last name then? What's the phone number you're calling from? Rena. Where's your husband in now? He should have been asleep. Does anybody have any weapons? No. Any drugs and drugs involved? Pardon me? Any drugs and drugs involved? I don't know. What's been coming out?
So you were listening to those tapes where Mrs. Moran was calling police, reporting that her husband, she said, had beat her. If you listen closely, you could hear the officer asking all of the types of questions. State Attorney Harry Shorstein said he listened very closely to those tapes, listened to the interviews that were done by the police officers in this case, and that is why he decided not to prosecute. As far as the state attorney's office and the courts are concerned, the case against Judge Don Moran and his wife is closed. State Attorney Harry Shorstein says he will not prosecute either of them. Shorstein says he reviewed police investigations and the interviews and says there's just not a case.
There will always be the belief on the part of those who failed to review the evidence that Judge Moran received preferential treatment. That is absolutely incorrect.
Police had wanted a warrant for Mrs. Moran on domestic battery charges. Shorstein says it just wouldn't hold up in court, even though she admitted to hitting her husband and changing her story.
You don't believe that she battered her husband?
I don't know whether she touched him or pushed him or not, but generally speaking, we wouldn't prosecute. If based on the evidence, it could be proven that she did touch him unlawfully. Whether or not that rises to the level of prosecuting for domestic violence, I concluded, based on all the circumstances of this case, that it wouldn't be prudent to prosecute her.
As for filing a false police report, something Mrs. Moran admitted to by telling authorities, quote, "I lied. I tried to get him and hurt him. I'm the abuser. I lied to police. You should arrest me on that." Shorstein says that won't happen because if they did, victims in real abuse cases wouldn't come forward.
In this case, after review of all of the facts, we believe the prosecution of Mrs. Moran would possibly impede or inhibit the disclosure of domestic violence cases in the future.
So now you heard what Harry Shorstein had to review, those 911 tapes, also the police reports in this case, and he says that's why he made his decision. Now coming up all new at 6 o'clock, we're going to talk to some of the agencies involved that investigate these abuses and see what this week's news has done for them. Is it going to hurt them or help them in the future? For now, we're live at the courthouse. Jim Pickett, Channel 4, the local station.
And just a few minutes ago, we received this statement into our newsroom from Judge Moran. It says, quote, "As a father and husband, my duty to family comes first and foremost. And during this very difficult time, our family asks for the community's support as well as their prayers. I realize that we have some very serious and personal issues to resolve, and I recognize that the road to recovery for both our family and me will be difficult. For my wife, our children, and myself, I ask for the time and space necessary to heal with the love of our friends and family and the support of professionals as we move forward."